Discover the amazing truth. My mom's smirk revealed 5 hidden lessons about love and acceptance. Life in Westville moved at a steady, unhurried pace. The townsfolk often gathered for the annual fair, eager to enjoy homemade pies and the laughter of children echoing against the backdrop of their small Midwestern lives. For Jake, a 35-year-old single father, these moments were bittersweet. He worked 2 full-time jobs just to keep a roof over his and his spirited daughter Lily's heads. And though the town acknowledged his hard work, they whispered about the past the day his wife left when Lily was a toddler. Their pity felt like a heavy cloak, one that suffocated instead of warmed. As he wandered under a sky splattered with vibrant carnival colors, his heart sank. He was here to give Lily a taste of joy amid the chaos of their lives. She darted off, her laughter like a rainbow cutting through the gray clouds of their circumstances. Yet, a lingering sadness weighed on him. Though their house crackled with the remnants of happiness, it also echoed the absence of a mother. Amid the hustle and bustle, Jake stumbled upon an old box tucked behind a stall, hidden beneath a dust-covered table. Curiosity ignited, he opened it. Inside lay letters, his mother's letters. Each one held a smirk that seemed to promise wisdom and secrets untold. With a pounding heart, he began to read, feeling the warmth of her words wrap around him. Your journey will be tough, my dear, one letter read. But remember, love doesn't come easy. Tears filled his eyes as he soaked in every sacrifice she detailed. Her unwavering love even when times were hard. Her letters were a treasure, illuminating truths about resilience that made his heart swell with hope. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As days turned into an emotional whirlwind, whispers of uncertainty swept through Westville when the local factory announced its closure. The looming crisis cast dark shadows over families. For Jake, an enticing job offer arrived, promising stability. Yet, it could rip apart the fragile tapestry of trust he had woven with Lily. A storm brewed at home. Their conversations crackled with tension like static in the air. Why do you want to leave? We're okay. Lily's voice trembled. How could he explain that this hurt, this overwhelming turmoil came from a desire to provide? As Jake wrestled with the haunting echoes of his mother's letters, he realized her smirk embodied hope, but also the intricate dance of love and acceptance. Each word became a balm, guiding his thoughts away from societal validation toward meaningful connection. Just when clarity began to dawn, the weight of his choices loomed larger than ever. Would he chase the dream of financial freedom and risk losing Lily's trust? With the world unraveling around them, they faced impossible choices. Would love drown under the tide of ambition? Or could they, against all odds, hold on to each other as they navigated the storm? Only the next chapter of their story would tell. The morning sun spilled over Westville, bathing everything in a warm golden hue. Yet, inside Jake's small home, an unease simmered. He could hear Lily humming softly to herself as she prepared for school. Each note felt like tugs on his heart, reminiscent of simpler days before the weight of uncertainty settled on their lives. Jake sat at the kitchen table, the offer letter for the new job spread out before him like a two-edged sword. The numbers gleamed with promise, making his dreams seem tantalizingly close. But each time he glanced at it, dread coiled in his stomach. He wondered if this was the path to stability or another step toward loneliness. "Daddy, can I have pancakes today?" Lily called from the kitchen. Her hopeful voice cut through the fog of his thoughts, reminding him of the sweetness that filled their lives despite the chaos. "Of course, sweetheart," he replied, forcing a smile as he pulled out the flour and eggs. As he mixed the ingredients, he kept replaying Lily's earlier question in his mind. Would leaving Westville mean abandoning the trust they had built together? Moments later, He placed a stack of warm pancakes in front of her, the golden brown edges curling slightly. Her eyes sparkled, and for a fleeting second, joy washed over Jake. But the joy quickly faded, replaced by the heaviness of impending decisions. "Can we go to the fair again this weekend?" Lily asked, mouth full and cheeks round with delight. "I want to ride the Ferris wheel and try the corn dog." "Of course, we can," Jake replied, although he wasn't sure if the fair would even be running if the factory's closure turned their town upside down. She noticed the hesitance in his voice. "Dad, what's wrong?" Concern flickered in her amber eyes, so much like her mother's. He took a moment, gathering his thoughts. "It's just things might change a bit. Adults worry about stuff you don't have to think about." "Like what? The factory?" She frowned, her young brow furrowing. "Yes, exactly," Jake said, grappling with his own inability to shield her from the truth. "But I promise I'll always do my best for us, no matter what." Lily looked down, lost in thought. "Do you like your job now, Dad?" Her question hit him hard. He loved his customers, loved the people at the factory, but the stress of 2 jobs and the responsibilities weighed him down. "I love what I do because it lets me take care of you," he managed, trying to stress the importance of their bond over any job title or paycheck. She nodded slowly, but he could see that she didn't entirely understand. At her age, love meant playing in the park and laughing until her stomach hurt, not having to juggle with adult decisions. Later that day, as Jake drove through the familiar streets of Westville, his mind bounced between dreams of a new life and the comforts of home. He reached for his phone, his fingers hovering over the screen for a moment. Should he reach out to an old friend who had taken a similar path? Maybe advice would help illuminate the dark patches ahead. Suddenly, a blast of laughter erupted nearby. Jake glanced out the car window to see a group of kids chasing fireflies in a field. Their innocence struck him like a jolt. He envied their freedom, their simple joys. Driving past, he felt a swell of emotions: love, fear, hope. The realization that his decisions weighed heavily not just on him, but on Lily too, filled his heart. That night, as they settled down for bed, he tucked Lily in, and she looked up at him, her small hands clutching her favorite stuffed bear. "Daddy, promise me something?" "Anything, kiddo. Promise we'll always have fun together, no matter what happens." His heart squeezed at her sincerity. "Promise, Lily." As he kissed her goodnight, Jake wondered if he could weave that promise into a future he had yet to figure out. What would it take to keep that laughter in her eyes? Just as he closed the bedroom door, a knock echoed from the living room. He opened it to find a familiar face, an old friend and mentor, carrying a box filled with artifacts from their past. Was this the sign he needed? Would this moment shift everything for him and Lily? Jake blinked, momentarily stunned by the figure standing in his living room. It was Sam, his college roommate and a man who had always been a few steps ahead of him in life. The box he carried was old but still sturdy, covered in scratches and dust, as if it had been on countless adventures. "Hey, buddy." Sam grinned, his smile warm and familiar. "I was in the area and thought I'd drop by. Hope you don't mind." "Not at all," Jake replied, stepping aside to let Sam in. The air filled with memories of laughter, late-night talks, and dreams carved during youthful exuberance. As Sam set the box on the coffee table, curiosity flickered in Jake's chest. "What's in there?" "Just some old stuff from college," Sam said, lifting the lid to reveal a jumble of trinkets. Photos, a worn-out baseball cap, and the remnants of notes they had passed back and forth in class. "I thought you might like to relive some memories," he added, a hint of nostalgia in his tone. Lily peeked out from her room, drawn by the voices. Her eyes widened as she recognized the man from stories Jake often told. "Uncle Sam," she shouted, rushing into the room, her excitement bubbling over. "Hey there, pumpkin," Sam exclaimed, scooping her into his arms. The joy radiating from them lit up the dimming room. As Sam set her down, Jake felt an old ache, the wish for a wider world, a future brimming with possibilities for Lily. "You're just in time for bedtime stories," he said, trying to keep the conversation light while untangling his own thoughts. "Bedtime?" Sam chuckled, settling into the worn armchair. I can help with that. Got any good ones? Jake watched Lily's face light up. There was something about Sam's presence that brought warmth, something real that made worries feel smaller, less daunting. They settled into the living room as Jake flipped through their old album, revealing hilarious pictures of their foolish younger selves. Laughter slipped easily from their lips, and for those moments, the weight of the job offer and the looming changes faded into the background. Remember that time we decided to hitchhike to that concert? Jake asked, shaking his head, half giggling at their wild decisions. Sam laughed heartily. We thought we were invincible. What were we thinking? We were broke. When silence settled again, Sam leaned forward, his voice a little more serious. So, what is going on with you? Jake hesitated, feeling the gravity of his worries flood back. I've got an offer for a new job. Sam leaned back, the light from the lamp catching his eyes. That's great news. I senti it? Why the long face? It means leaving here and everything I've built with Lily, Jake admitted, the words tasting bitter. I want to give her a better future. But what if I lose what we have now? Sam's expression softened, and he looked at Lily playing with a teddy bear. Life is about choices, Jake. But it's also about figuring out what really matters. You want the best for her? But remember what she needs most, your support and love. No matter where you are. Jake sighed, feeling the weight of Sam's words. I guess I just want to make sure she is happy. She will be, Sam assured him, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Just make the choice that aligns with what you truly value. Don't let fear dictate your path. Lily suddenly stood up, looking at both men with those wide, innocent eyes. Can we go to that fair soon? You both can come. Jake's heart lightened a little at her enthusiasm. Absolutely. We'll figure this out. As Sam gathered his box back up, he smiled softly. This is just the beginning for you, Jake. Decisions can be tough, but they're also opportunities for growth. Jake nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. Decisions swirled like leaves in a gust of wind. As Sam headed to the door, he turned back. Hey, remember, it's okay to be scared, but don't let that fear hold you back. Sometimes the best path is the one we're most afraid to take. Jake stood frozen, a whirlwind of thoughts crossing his mind. Should he embrace the unknown? There, in the doorway, Sam's words resonated within him, igniting a spark of hope. What if? Jake thought, heart beating faster with a mix of fear and excitement. What might lie ahead if he shifted his perspective? The door closed behind Sam with a quiet thud, leaving Jake and Lily in the stillness. This weekend is going to be fun. Right, Dad? She chimed, still buzzing with excitement. Yeah, Jake said softly, but somewhere inside, he sensed it was going to be more than just a weekend at the fair. As Jake prepared for bed, his decision loomed like a shadow waiting to be confronted. What if he chose not just for Lily, but for himself too? Tomorrow was a new day, but it held answers yet to be discovered. Would he be brave enough to uncover them? The sunlight streamed through the window, painting golden patterns on the walls. Jake woke up with a jolt, his heart racing. Today was the day he'd take Lily to the fair, and it felt symbolic. He pushed off the covers, determination bubbling up inside him. He had a decision to make, one that could change everything. Lily was already awake, bouncing around the living room with a breakfast plate in her small hands. She wore her favorite unicorn pajamas, the ones that sparkled under the sunlight. Dad, are we going soon? Her eyes sparkled with the kind of joy only a child could possess. Yeah, sweetie, he replied, pouring himself a cup of coffee. It was hot, just like the thrill of what was to come. But we've got some time. Let us finish breakfast first. They settled at the kitchen table. Lily animatedly spoke about the rides she wanted to try, her little hands gesturing wildly as bits of cereal nearly flew off her spoon. It made Jake smile. Her imagination was vibrant. She was so full of life, and it reminded him of those conversations with Sam. As he watched her, Jake thought about what Sam had said the night before. Life was about choices. He wanted to be the kind of father who didn't just provide but also encouraged Lily to dream big. Wouldn't he moving for a new job give her more opportunities? But was it worth sacrificing the warm moments they shared together? Dad, can we go on the Ferris wheel? Lily's voice broke through his thoughts. I want to see everything from the top. It'll be like flying. Of course. The Ferris wheel it is, he replied, trying to channel his own excitement. The image of Lily's giggles soaring through the air on the ride pushed him to think further. You know, pumpkin, sometimes it's like flying, isn't it? Trying new things can be scary but also really amazing. Lily nodded, brows furrowed, trying to absorb her father's revelation. Like you going to the new job? You'll be scared but it'll be fun? Jake paused, realizing the power of her words. What if he took his own advice and embraced his fears? He hadn't just been thinking of her happiness. He now yearned for his own too. You're right, Lily. Sometimes we have to trust that the risks are worth it. Whether it's the Ferris wheel or a new job, it can be an adventure. Her face broke into a bright smile. Let us go then, Dad. Adventure time. Breakfast finished. They collected their things, and before they stepped outside, Jake took a deep breath, feeling emboldened. The air was crisp, carrying a hint of excitement. The fair came alive with sounds, the laughter of children, the whirring of rides, the enticing aroma of cotton candy. It was a sensory overload, but it felt good, like a refreshing shift from his worries. As they wandered through the fair, Lily's squeals of delight filled Jake's heart with joy. He was drawn into her world, and for those moments he felt weightless. They stopped to watch a performer juggle flaming torches. It felt like magic. In that moment, he understood that life itself was a juggle, a mix of flame and caution. Hours flew by as they hopped on rides and devoured too much sugar. Finally, they approached the Ferris wheel. The towering structure loomed over them, but instead of fear, Jake felt anticipation swell within him. Ready? He asked, watching the bright lights flicker and the wheel turn. Yes. Lily shouted, her voice a burst of uncontainable energy. As they climbed into their seat and rose high above the fairgrounds, Jake held Lily's tiny hand tightly. The view was breathtaking. The world beneath them was filled with flashing lights and laughter. Look at that, Lily, he said, pointing to the landscape below. She gasped, taking in the sight, and Jake's heart soared. At that moment, he realized something vital. No matter where he ended up, the essence of what mattered would go with him. Love, support, and the shared experience of treasuring each moment. As they descended back to solid ground, exhilaration washed over him. Today was about more than just fun. It was about embracing life. When the ride came to a stop, they climbed out. Lily, still buzzing with excitement, turned to him. Can we go again? Jake laughed, wrapping his arm around her shoulders. Let us do it. As they moved towards the line once more, Jake's phone buzzed in his pocket. He hesitated for a moment, a familiar rush of anxiety creeping in. What if that job offer was confirmation of the fears he carried? Dad? Lily's innocent voice snapped him back. Yeah, pumpkin, he replied, forcing a smile. Promise you'll always be my dad, no matter where we go? The weight of her question struck a chord deep within him. It was the one truth above all others. I promise, he said, his voice steady, because no matter the choice ahead, that bond was unbreakable. With the promise echoing in his heart, Jake felt a shift. He was ready for whatever choice lay ahead. As they climbed back aboard the Ferris wheel, his mind swirled with hope and a question lingered. Would he be ready to embrace change, not just for himself, but for them both? The wheel turned again, and with every revolution, the thrill of possibility hung in the air. As they ascended into the sky once more, Jake's heart pounded in rhythm with the clicking of the Ferris wheel. The world below grew smaller, and for a moment, it felt like they were suspended between possibilities, the life they had and the life that awaited them if he took the leap of faith into a new job. Look, Dad, Lily shouted, pointing at a colorful carousel dotted with children laughing and waving. I want to ride that next. Her enthusiasm was infectious. Jake squeezed her hand and nodded. Absolutely. But first, let us see how high we can go. With the gentle sway of the Ferris wheel, Jake's worries began to fade, replaced by the glimpses of joy on Lily's face. He could see her happiness stretching like the horizon before them. She was a small beacon of light, and right then, he realized he needed to step out of the shadows that had clouded his mind. As they reached the top, Jake took a deep breath, letting the cool air fill his lungs. It was refreshing, like a promise. "You see everything from up here, Lil? It's all so beautiful," he remarked, urging her to take in the view. "It's like I can touch the clouds," she exclaimed, her eyes shining. In that moment, all the noise of the fair below seemed muffled, allowing the two of them to connect in a bubble of peace. But even in this sweet moment, Jake's phone buzzed again, a reminder of the world he was trying to escape. His heart tightened as he glanced at the screen. It was a text from Sam, asking if he'd made a decision yet. The question nagged at him like a persistent itch he couldn't quite reach. "Dad? You're getting that worried face again," Lily said, catching the subtle change in his expression. He chuckled softly, trying to mask his anxiety. "Just thinking about what we should do next. We have so many choices, but we have all day." Her voice, lilting with innocence, brought him back to the moment. "Can we enjoy today first?" "Yes, you're right," he said, shaking off the doubt. "Today is for us." When the Ferris wheel finally descended, Jake let go of his worries. The moment they stepped on solid ground, he felt lighter, like the weight of his indecision began to slip away. He took a long look at Lily, her unicorn pajamas fluttering, her curls bouncing with every step. "Let us ride the carousel," Jake suggested, excitement bubbling inside him. "Yay!" Lily cheered, dragging him towards the bright, spinning horses as they climbed aboard the carousel. Jake felt an unexpected tingle of joy flooding his heart. Each horse was painted vividly, and as the music began to play, Lily squealed with laughter, clinging tightly while Jake kept a watchful eye on her, delighting in her sheer happiness. She shouted, her laughter echoing above the music. In that moment, it hit Jake. This was their reality, this joy. They both deserved to feel happy, regardless of the choices looming in the future. The thrill of careening around in a circle on a painted horse reminded him that life had its ups and downs, but every spin could bring a new perspective, a new adventure. After they dismounted, a glimmer of resolve took root within him. Maybe he could handle change. Maybe embracing this job opportunity didn't mean sacrificing his bond with Lily. He could be both a father and a figure chasing his dreams. "Dad, look," Lily exclaimed, tugging on his sleeve. "There's a face painting booth. Can we please?" Jake laughed, his heart warming at the enthusiasm that spilled from his daughter. "All right, let us go see what kind of masterpiece we can create." As they approached the colorful booth, Jake's thoughts wandered to what their future could look like. The potential for adventure and love intertwined. Would he really have the courage to seek something new when it might lead to even better times with Lily? But before he could sink deeply into his thoughts, he spotted a family at the booth, their faces painted with bright colors, laughter bouncing around them. The joy was contagious, and it cut through his uncertainty. "Look at how happy they are, Dad," Lily said, her eyes wide with hope. "It's all about love and being together," he mused, suddenly struck by clarity as they waited in line. His thoughts turned once more to his own choices. In that moment of connection, he decided that no matter where he ended up, he would always chase the joy and the lessons of love he was learning today. That as the face-painting artist called them forward, Jake felt the thrill of excitement pulse through him once more. What would their painted faces reveal? And what would he choose to embrace on this journey ahead? With each stroke on his cheek, Jake couldn't help but wonder. If embracing change meant coloring outside the lines of fear, was he ready to paint a brighter future? As the artist delicately brushed the paint against his cheek, Jake felt a sense of release. Each stroke transformed not just his face, but somehow, it felt like it was reshaping his heart as well. The vibrant red heart that emerged mirrored the warmth spreading through him like an opening door inviting new possibilities. "Dad, you look silly," Lily giggled, pointing at the whimsical swirled patterns that sprawled across his face. She was next, excitedly choosing bright butterflies for her own. The artist paused, glancing between them with a knowing smile. "Sometimes the best art comes from embracing our silly sides," the artist said, a glimmering twinkle in her eye. It struck Jake that life itself might be an art, a canvas filled with both the beautiful and the bizarre. Lily squirmed in her seat, unable to contain her excitement. "Now I look like a real princess," she squealed after her face was transformed. The sight of her joy lit a fire within him. It was a spark that made him think maybe the best version of himself could be found in shared moments just like this. Reveling in their painted faces, they wandered through the fairground, exploring cotton candy stands and games where laughter rang out like music. With each passing stall, Jake felt the weight of responsibility start to lift. Thoughts of work and emails blurred against the vivid colors and twinkling lights. This was the road they painted together, full of possibilities and love. "Dad, can we go on that big slide next?" Lily shouted, her finger pointing toward an enormous inflatable slide that towered over the other attractions. Jake glanced at the slide's height, a familiar voice of doubt creeping in. But then he looked at Lily. Her eyes sparkled with unfiltered excitement, and he couldn't let fear overshadow her moment. "Let us do it," he replied, adrenaline pulsing through him. He climbed the steps behind her, their laughter echoing against the inflatable walls. At the top, a wave of exhilaration rushed over him. Looking down, the landscape stretched wide beneath them, another reminder that life often required a leap or a slide into the unknown. "On three," he called out as they positioned themselves at the edge. "1, 2, 3, Lily shouted, and together, they launched down the slide, whooping with joy. The rush of wind against their faces felt freeing. The world blurred as laughter filled the air. When they landed at the bottom, they tumbled onto the grass, gasping for breath between peals of laughter. "Did you feel that?" Jake asked, surprised by the thrill still coursing through him. "I felt like a rocket," she beamed, her hair a mess and her face shining with delight. Jake realized he felt a lot like that rocket himself, propelled by her unyielding joy. They caught their breath. A moment of tranquility enveloped them. Jake lay back in the grass, staring at the clouds, while Lily inspected a butterfly land nearby. It was a snapshot of happiness, a moment of clarity rich with potential. They could create so many more memories. But as he relaxed, his phone buzzed again, the moment shattering like glass. He glanced at the screen. It was Sam again, the message brimming with urgency. Jake's heart sank. What would happen if he ignored it? "Come on, Dad. Let us go again." Lily tugged at him, pulling him from his thoughts. He forced a smile. "All right, one more time." But underneath, a storm brewed. Each slide represented change, and though the ride was exhilarating, the aftermath was always uncertainty. As they rushed back toward the slide, Jake knew that he stood at a crossroads. Could he embrace both his fears and the excitement of the unknown? What hidden lessons would emerge from the choices he made today? With every step, he felt something shift inside, not just for him, but for Lily, too. Would they have the courage to let joy lead them forward? And what awaited them beyond this swirling carnival of delights? As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting an orange glow, Jake couldn't help but wonder if they were really sliding into something greater than just a fairground adventure. Was this fun delighting his soul? Or was it the first step toward a new chapter they both needed to embrace? Jake felt the anticipation crackle in the air as they climbed the inflatable steps again, the heaviness of life momentarily forgotten. As they reached the top, he glanced at Lily, her face painted with glee. She was his sunshine, effortlessly lighting up the dampening clouds that often staggered his thoughts. "Ready?" he asked, his voice laced with excitement. "Always," she chirped, pulling him closer to the edge. The thrill of the slide awaited them, a small leap that felt both daring and liberating. They leaped again, their screams blending into echoes of laughter. This time, Jake's heart thuggishly pounded, not solely from the thrill, but from the realization that Lily needed these moments just as much as he did. The slide wasn't merely fun. It was a bridge connecting his duty as a father with the simple joys of just being alive. As they reached the bottom, the chaos of the fairground swirled around them. Lily's laughter made everything else fade, and for a heartbeat, Jake was lost in that sound. He grabbed her hand, ready to explore more. However, his phone buzzed again, an unwanted third intrusion. "Hey, Dad." Look at that game. Lily cried out, her finger pointing to a booth where kids tossed rings around bottles. He smiled at her enthusiasm and quickly tucked his phone away. Let us try it. With each ring tossed and laughter shared, Jake felt the uncertainty of work slip further from his mind. He was in the here and now, and it felt liberating. They won a small plush bear, which Lily immediately named Mr. Snuggles. But the nagging thought of Sam's urgent messages lingered. With every passing minute, it threatened to pull him back, like a tugging anchor anchoring him to responsibilities he wasn't ready to face. Can we get some cotton candy next? Lily asked, her eyes sparkling with hope. Of course, princess. He picked her up, and they raced towards the stand. The fluffy pink and blue confections spun around the cone, and he marveled at how something so delicate could bring so much joy. Lily devoured it, her face smeared with sugary sweetness. Watching her, Jake felt a warmth fill him. These carefree moments, the little things, were the very fabric forming their lives. But even amidst the joy, another message from Sam thrummed, a reminder of obligation. Can we go on the carousel after this? Lily asked, biting into her cotton candy. Jake hesitated, the weight of the world creeping back in. Please, she pleaded, eyes wide, unwavering. It was a simple request, but it tore at him. The carousel was just a ride, yet it symbolized everything he feared. The way around, up and down, in circles never moving forward. Okay, let us do it, he replied, pushing past the anxiety that clawed at the edges of his mind. With every gallop of a painted horse, there was freedom, joy, a glimpse of the possibilities hiding behind the responsibilities he carried as they spun around. Laughter bubbling from both their throats. Jake realized that though life often felt like a carousel, delightful yet dizzying, sometimes it was worth losing himself in the ride. After dismounting, his mind was slightly clearer. The colors around him felt brighter. The laughter echoed warmer. He turned to Lily, who was now hopping on her toes, excitedly looking for their next adventure. In that moment, deciding between the urgent messages and the joy before him didn't seem so difficult anymore. Maybe it was time to carve out space for both love and responsibility. But just as he settled into that thought, he received another message. His heart raced as he read the words on his screen. Something he had been dreading was crystallizing right there in passers-by. Laughter lost in the din. What did it say? Would it lead to a decision that would change everything? The burdensome question hung in the air, lingering like the sweet scent of cotton candy, as he looked into Lily's hopeful eyes. Ready for one more adventure, Dad? She asked, tugging at his hand. But what awaited them next could tip the balance of their joys and changes. Would this day lead them to the uncharted outsides of family bonds, or was it a mere diversion before the storm? Jake stared at the screen, the words blurring together. A mixture of dread and urgency collided inside him, filling the pit of his stomach with lead. He had known this moment would arrive, yet he still wasn't ready. The heavy realities of life loomed just outside the carnival's cheerful facade. Dad? Lily's voice pulled him back to the vibrant world around them. Yeah, sweetheart? He replied, forcing a smile despite the knot in his stomach. Can we do the funhouse next? She bounced on her toes, her excitement brightening the space between them. Sure, why not? Jake said, trying to bury his worries. The funhouse, with its twisting mirrors and silly optical illusions, felt perfect for their next adventure. Perhaps a little disorientation was what he needed, he thought. He could juggle responsibilities and joy, right? As they walked hand in hand, Lily skipped ahead, nearly tripping over her own feet as she twirled in delight. Watching her, a flicker of clarity surfaced. All it took was simplicity, a day spent with Lily, where they could create laughter amidst the chaos. When they finally reached the entrance of the funhouse, Jake took in the twisting, colorful facade, vibrant with lights. The entrance beckoned them as they stepped inside. Inside, shadows danced around them. The mirrors warped their reflections, elongating Jake's frame and shrinking Lily's. She giggled, pointing at the distorted versions of themselves. Look at us, Dad. We look funny, she squealed, leaning against one mirror that distorted her shape comically. Jake's heart swelled. He couldn't help but laugh at how silly they looked, a moment of absurdity anchoring him to the present. But behind those giggles, the unanswered questions loomed. This carefree experience was a temporary escape. A glance at his phone revealed that it hadn't stopped buzzing. "Stay close, okay, Lily?" he said, trying to maintain focus while directing her towards the mirror maze. Each corner they turned mirrored familiar anxieties mixed with fleeting joy. "Do you think we'll get lost?" she asked, her tones bright but curious. "Just a bit, I bet," he said, leading her further inside. Suddenly, everything within him shifted as he felt a tangible doubt ripple through the moment like an electric current. Would they get lost? And could he bear being found again? As they navigated the maze, Jake's phone buzzed once more, vibrating like a warning bell. It was Sam. The text was clear and urgent. He hesitated, torn between the two worlds pulling at him. The fear of missing out on immediate joy and the weight of responsibilities hanging over his head. That single moment of hesitation felt like time stretching, the laughter of his daughter echoing in the distance against his turbulent thoughts. "Dad, over here," Lily called, her voice cheerful and bright, cutting through the fog. She stood at the exit waving excitedly. "Coming," he shouted back, reminding himself of the clarity he sought clung to those bright moments. Was he truly ready to dive into what awaited him outside this funhouse? As they exited, fresh air greeted them, mingling sweetly with carnival scents. Jake finally found the strength to pocket his phone, if only for a little longer. The festival was alive with noise and colors around them, a vibrant reminder of what mattered most. Where to next? Lily's exuberance pulled him out of introspection. "I think the Ferris wheel." It suddenly felt right, a symbol of both height and fear, just like the tightrope walk he had to do between choices looming ahead. But as they took their first steps towards the wheel, the realization hung above them, a heavy question of what awaited them at the top. Could they embrace the height together, or would Jake's internal storm drag them back down before they ever got there? Would this leap of faith reveal something transformative, or was it just another ride on an unsteady path? Lily's hand squeezed Jake's tightly as they approached the towering structure of the Ferris wheel, each rotation of the great wheel seeming to pull them upwards to the sky. Jake felt a pang of anxiety, but he shook it off. For Lily, this was just another adventure, and he didn't want to tarnish her joy with his own swirling doubts. "Look at how high it goes," Lily exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. She pointed to the colorful seats that swayed gently in the breeze. Just the sight of her excitement filled him with a warm glow despite the tightening in his chest. "Yeah, pretty high up there," he agreed, steering them towards the line. The impatient chatter of families and the distant music of carnival rides blended into a comforting backdrop. As they waited, Jake's mind wandered, wondering if this was truly what he needed. What would it feel like at the top? Would he see some clear path, some sign that everything would be okay? "Dad," Lily tugged at his sleeve, drawing him back to the moment. "Are we going to ride it?" "Absolutely," Jake replied, feelings of both fear and hope swelling within him. Their turn arrived, and he lifted Lily into the bright red seat. The attendant locked the safety bar into place, and that small clink felt like a door closing on his hesitations. Lily's laughter rang out as the ride began to move. They glided upwards, the ground below becoming a tapestry of color. The vendors, the games, the laughter of kids, it all melded together into a dizzying mosaic. Jake felt himself drawn into Lily's delight. It was infectious as he watched her hair dance in the wind, as if she was embracing each ounce of the thrill. "Look, Dad, we're so high, I can see everything," she shouted, her voice piercing the air with pure joy. Jake's heart raced, not from fear, but from something almost like freedom. Filled him. As they reached the top, everything below them seemed small and trivial. In that moment of suspension, he could almost forget the weight pressing against him. "This is amazing, Lily," he yelled, grinning from ear to ear. Then the wheel paused, and at that peak, the world stood still for just a second. Jake felt exposed, naked against the vast expanse of sky. It was dizzying, both invigorating and terrifying. "Hold on tight, sweetheart," he shouted, basking in the thrill. For her, this was just a ride, but for him it was a choice, a leap of faith to open himself up to the moment. "Look at the sunset, Dad." Lily pointed towards the horizon. The sky was painted in shades of deep orange and pink, transforming the carnival into a magical realm. "Yeah, it's beautiful," he replied, the words catching in his throat. The beauty stirred something within him, a soft illumination reminding him that life, like the sunset, was both fleeting and rich with color. Would he find this kind of beauty in his own battles? The ride began its descent, but something shifted in Jake as they wound back towards solid ground. They laughed, shared stories of what it felt like to float in the air, and the experience was vivid. But as they stepped off the Ferris wheel, Jake couldn't shake the feeling of impending change. The sounds of laughter filled the air, but beneath the surface, Jake wrestled with the text he still hadn't read. As they walked through the crowd, laughing and pointing at the cotton candy and games, he felt the rumblings of reality intrude on this perfect moment. How was he supposed to deal with the weight of the truth awaiting him? "Hey, Dad?" Lily's voice broke through his thoughts again. "Do you think we can go on something else?" "Sure, how about the bumper cars?" he said, wanting to keep the momentum of joy alive. "Yeah," she squealed, bouncing on her heels again. But as they walked towards the next adventure, Jake couldn't shake the question. Once all this joy fades, what truths would he have to confront? Would the ride through life always be this complicated? "Lily, wait," he said suddenly, his heart pounding. "Can we talk about something?" Her smile wavered for just a moment. What kind of something? He hesitated, looking deep into those innocent eyes, wondering if the weight of the unknown would dim her sparkle. But as he watched her vibrant spirit, he realized that some answers were worth seeking, especially with Lily beside him. The ride may have been exhilarating, but now it was time to face the music. Would he find the courage to share his struggles and fears, or would he allow them to overwhelm the beauty of their day, forever hovering like the memories of the Ferris wheel in the dusk? The evening air buzzed with all the magic of the fair, but for Jake, the thrill was laced with a storm of uncertainty. He kneaded his hands together, feeling the tug-of-war of hope and worry within him. The bright lights twinkled around them, but all Jake could see were the shadows of decisions looming close by. "Lily," he said, kneeling down to meet her excited gaze as she hopped in place, clutching her teddy bear tightly. "Remember earlier when you said you promised to always have fun with me?" "Yeah, of course." She grinned, the innocence washing over him like summer rain. "And you said you'd always be my girl?" Jake continued, a soft unease coiling in his stomach with the weight of his words. "Always," she declared, eyes wide with the power of their unbreakable bond. In that moment, Jake felt the love radiating between them, brightening the uncertainties that gnawed at him. "I need to tell you something," he started, his voice kinder than his doubts wanted to allow. "You know how we talked about how change can be a little scary? Yeah. Like getting on new rides." Lily chirped, oblivious yet wise beyond her years. "Exactly. Sometimes, change can be really good, and it helps us grow," Jake said, beginning to deflate the tension in his chest. He dropped his gaze, contemplating how to allow her small heart to absorb this. "I have a job offer, a really good one, but it means something has to change for us. I'll be all busy," and Lilia's eyes darted from his face to the wild expanse of carnival lights. And just like that, she seemed to shrink, her joyful innocence hitched by his heavy conversation. "But it's far away?" she whispered, concern flickering across her face. "Yes, it could be far," he confirmed, feeling the scratch of sadness underlining their moment. But, she leaned in closely, echoing his tentative tone. "Will you still be my dad, even if you go far?" His heart slammed against his ribs, shaking loose a deeper realization. "Of course, I promise that, honey. No distance can change that. You're my girl, no matter what." He let that promise cling in the air, solidifying their connection. Lily nodded slowly, a spark dampened but not extinguished. "What if I want to come with you?" Jake chuckled softly. "I know you'd want to, and I love that, but we still have to talk about if it's the right thing for us." Just then, The sound of children laughing blared as they hurried to a clown juggling brightly colored balls. In that moment, it reminded Jake of the vibrancy of life filled with joyous chaos, but also the valid need to act and react with love. As shadows danced along the fairground, Jake turned and looked deep into Lily's eyes. Change is like a big adventure. We might have to face some things that feel uncomfortable. But if we stick together, I believe we can do anything. Anything? She echoed, her voice thrilling with childlike wonder. Jake felt the truth in her words. Together, they could weather any storm. Yes, anything, he affirmed, gripping her small hand in his. Sometimes people grow scared of change because they don't know what's coming, and that's okay. We could have ups and downs. But remember, love is what makes that ride worth it. Like the Ferris wheel? She giggled, her frown temporarily replaced with innocent playfulness. Exactly like the Ferris wheel. We go up, we go down. But at the end of it, we're always together at the center. He felt the tremble of determination swell within him and quickly found his ground. Okay, Lily cheered. I want to see what's next. And with that, she led him toward the bumper cars, her laughter spiraling, chasing away the lingering heaviness as they hopped into their cars. Jake couldn't shake the boldness that erupted. Instead of clinging to worries and texts from Sam, he embraced this joyous swirl of pure fun. He wanted Lily to feel that life, much like the rides they were on, could be wild and unpredictable but ultimately joyful together. With her tiny hands on the wheel, Jake couldn't help but laugh as they collided with friendship and joy. Each bump reminded him that every upright moment they shared, encircled in a world of love, was an opportunity to embrace the possibilities ahead, regardless of the challenges yet to surface. And in that playful chaos of laughter and color, Jake felt connected to something greater than himself, to a future made vibrant not by the decisions he faced alone, but by the resilient love he shared with his daughter. We can face whatever comes, together, he thought, watching the colors swirl around them, much like the new horizons they might explore ahead. As they zipped away from the booth, laughing and bumping into each other, Jake's heart swelled with an overwhelming spark of hope. Perhaps within his fears lay the threads of something beautiful waiting to be woven into their new story, a testament to love conquering challenges and embracing the adventure ahead. Jake squeezed Lilia's hand, looking down at her in the colorful chaos. He smiled, comprehending that this moment, this whimsical slice of time, was a reminder of their journey into the unknown that promised to be much brighter together. Hey, pumpkin, he said, feeling the weight of his heart ease. Let's go find some more adventure. And as they sped off toward laughter and thrill, it was clear. Life was a carnival, and they were rightfully there, ready to explore it all. Now, here's where you need to jump in and take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment your reactions and feelings about this beautiful ending below. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now, because only true fans understand how important it is to keep this channel going. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Thank you for being a part of our journey.